Hi, this is Clee Crocker with Appliance Factory Mattress Kingdom. Some of you may be wondering, how am I supposed to buy a washer nowadays? They're so complicated, there's so many of them, and I thought maybe I'd just give you a few tips. So we're gonna start with the budget of the typical washer. Now, you can get these things all the way from $500 all the way up to $2,000. It just depends on what you really want, but you know, sometimes people think, well, if I just spend a lot less money, that's a lot less things that go wrong because they're not as complicated. And there's some truth to that. But on the other hand, you know, if I spend a little bit more money, maybe I'm gonna get more of the features that I want. Maybe the quality is gonna go up, and there's some truth to that too. So neither one of those thoughts are wrong. But I thought really what I'd do is just kind of share some things to look at. So, you know, the old washer and dryers, what I started selling 35 years ago, you know, they were basically just a bucket and an agitator in them, and they just washed your clothes. There wasn't a lot to them. And they've gotten so much more efficient nowadays that, you know, sometimes we want some of the lesser features just to get a lower budget in there. And that's really what you're gonna get. Some of the most least expensive things that we have out there, they're still just your basic washer and dryer with a few more buttons on them. But a budget is generally around $500 now. When you're looking at an entry price point. And since the pandemic, prices have gone way up, so you may not even find it for that low. But one of the things to start with is you're looking for one that has an agitator inside there. So if you look right inside here, you'll see this is what I'm calling an agitator, all right? So the big advancement over the years is you don't even have to have this if you don't want to. We now have them with wash plates on the bottom, and you know, your opening price point, these things are ones that probably use more water. They're not as efficient as the rest of them. You know, in the old days, we would use about 50 gallons of water per load. You can get them with less than that now. And if you go to one that is high efficient, it doesn't require hardly any water at all, maybe 15 gallons, maybe 20 gallons, but think about the savings just in a week if you move up to something that's high efficiency. So I would try to get yourself out of the entry level and get into a high efficiency. You can get those for $100, $150 more than the entry level, and you do pretty good. Now, one of the things that I'd look for is the drum. So your standard drum only has these kind of holes in them. The drums that I like the best are the ones that have these lift up pieces here. So what this does, whether we're talking about a front load or a top load washer, that lifts the material away from these little holes, which tend to be sharp on the back side. Those help prevent snags and keeps your clothes lasting longer. So that's another good feature. Another thing that you want to think about is about the rinse and how much water it'll hold. If you look at this particular one we got in front of us here, you got a low, medium, high, and max. These things are, you know, they don't mean a whole lot because the lows all generally get about the same level. The max or high on a washer gets all about the same level, but you do get more choices in this one in terms of what's in between that I do like. But also, you know, because the high efficiencies use such little water, sometimes people just want to throw an extra rinse on there. So I'd be looking for a washer that has an extra rinse on it. Another thing to think about is the size of your family. If you've got a larger family, you don't want to do a lot of clothes every week. What you might want to do is go for a larger capacity. So these things, you know, they have medium capacity, large capacity, super capacity. Really what we get into, instead of seeing those terms, we're looking at cubic feet. So if you're looking for something that's 3.5 cubic feet, instead you might want to look something that's 4.5 cubic feet or 5 cubic feet for a really large family. And that just gives you a bigger drum on the inside. So that's kind of nice. Now, the big argument nowadays is, are we looking for a top load or do we really want a front load washer? So I'm going to tell you that at the high end, you know, the top load washers are really nice. I think they work almost as good as a front load washer. They get really big now, so you're probably looking for one that's more wider than one that's tall, and so that you can handle your family without having to fall into your washer when you try to get things in and out of it. So you might look at something that's 29 inches wide instead of 27 inches wide. That might be more of a beneficial to you, so it's not as tall. But overall, I would give the award of which one washes better and is more convenient to the front loader. So let's look at some of those. So here we are standing in front of some front load washers I think you'll really like. We have this one that's on a stand. We have this one that's sitting on the floor. In terms of convenience, one of the reasons I like these a lot is because you don't have to get in such a deep top loader. These are actually a little bit more easier on you than the top loaders because you don't have to reach into it. And how easy is it to pull these things open, right? So this is the dryer, here's a washer, but you can set these things down on the ground and use the top as a surface to fold clothes or keep storage or whatever you'd like. Or if you want, you can get it off the ground by putting it on a pedestal. This particular one has a pedestal washer underneath the washer, but you can have that as a storage drawer too. And every brand that's sold out there, they sell storage drawers or what's called pedestals to go underneath them. So, but more than that, because these things are turned over like this, what happens is as you fill this up, it's still going to wash no matter how full you get it. So as the clothes are washing on top of clothes, it kind of gives that old washboard effect. The clothes themselves will help get other clothes clean, and that's actually very gentle on the clothes. And as you can see in this particular one here, we have those same bubbles in there that helps lift things up. We have the fins inside there that helps toss it around inside there. This is going to be very gentle wash for your clothes. So I like this. I like that I can really fill it up and it's still going to clean. When you get some loss of cleaning, the fuller you get a top loader. So this actually will wash a little better. These actually spin out faster than what a front load or a top load does. So what am I talking about? Well, you know, the older ones we'd see, and some of the modern ones we'd see, they'd spin out about 500, 600, 700 revolutions a minute. I'm guessing this is going to be around 11, 12, 1300 revolutions a minute. So that means after you're done washing, it's almost dry. So when you put it in the dryer, it doesn't take as long as the old washers do. So I think, again, another win for the front load washers. So we like that. Now, some of the other features that people like that you start to get into when you get into front load, after you get across the first base price, which is basically just a nice front load washer, when you get above that, you get to things like a water heater built into the washer. So it actually will kill 99.9% of the bacteria without it even having to have soap in there. So now when you add your soap, it works a lot better. But I like it when they have a sanitizing cycle on there. The other thing you can get when you get into front load washers is a steam cycle. So why do you need steam on top of having wet clothes? Well, steam starts at the beginning of the cycles. It actually penetrates the fabric, which kind of loosens the fabric, and that pops off stains, even without any extra chemicals in there. So steam is always a good thing. You've heard me talking in the past. My wife's a nurse. And nurses just love steam cycles because they help get the clothes cleaner. That, along with the sanitary cycle, keeps bacteria out of the clothes. So we really, really like that. And for you moms out there, if you're looking something to remove stains and you don't want to use the chemicals of a stain remover, steam does that for you as well. And then, of course, you get into the water efficiency of these things. Again, this stuff, this may use 13 gallons of water instead of the 50 that I mentioned before. So those are all nice features of things to think about, things you want to walk in knowing what you're looking for before you buy your washer. Now, when's the best time to buy a washer? Well, typically start about 2 weeks before a holiday, maybe even a little sooner. Stores like us, we start those even earlier than that. Those are little stories about washers for you. I hope that helps you. If you have any more questions, like and subscribe, give us some comments, let us know what questions you have, and we'll try to answer those for you. Thank you.